All right, so if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking about coding, right? And YouTube is like the first place everyone goes.
Yeah. It seems like the obvious choice, right?
Free, tons of videos, learn at your own pace.
That's-
But is it really enough to
Yeah.
to go pro? Is it going to take you from zero to hero?
That's the big question.
That's what we're looking at today.
Yeah.
We've got this article is Learning to Code on YouTube Enough. It's from a website that's all about helping people land programming jobs.
And they actually say that YouTube has a lot of appeal.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are tons of videos on all sorts of different languages. You can learn anything.
You can kind of get your feet wet.
Yeah, you can get a taste of Python and then jump over and look at JavaScript.
See what you like.
Yeah, and see what clicks with you.
Yeah, the article actually highlights that it's great for seeing concepts.
Like in action.
Visually.
Especially for visual learners.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who wants to see it happen.
It's better to see it than read about it.
It is, I'm a very visual learner. I need to see someone do it before I can wrap my head around it.
Absolutely.
And the article really focuses on how YouTube helps connect the theory to the practice.
The actual doing.
Like a lot of times you go to school and you learn all this theory and they're like, all right, go out in the world and do it. And you're like, wait, what?
I don't know what to do.
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
But with YouTube, you can see someone walk through the steps.
Yeah, like build a simple web app.
Right. And then you can try it.
Try it yourself.
Yeah.
But then that's where YouTube kind of falls apart a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit like the Wild West out there.
You don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Mm.
The quality can be really variable.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
And the article really highlights the lack of a curriculum as a problem.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So you might jump from video to video and learn a little bit here, a little bit there.
But not have that solid base.
Yeah, you end up with gaps in your knowledge.
And it's easy to get lost.
It is. It's very easy to get lost.
And of course, unlike a classroom, you don't have that teacher to ask.
Right. No feedback.
No feedback.
You're on your own.
You're just coding in your basement by yourself.
Right.
And actually, the article says that YouTube might not even be enough to cover those really advanced topics.
Yeah, like the things you need to know to pass a technical interview.
Oh, so like algorithms?
Algorithms, data structures.
System design.
System design. These are all really important concepts, and YouTube just might not go deep enough.
So it seems like YouTube's a good starting point.
Yeah, it'll get you going.
It'll give you that taste.
Yeah, get you excited.
But you need more.
You need more.
What does the article suggest? What are some of the things that they say you should be doing?
Well, one option they mentioned is interactive coding platforms.
Okay.
And some of these are using AI now.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
So like Algo Academy,
Mm-hmm.
They're using AI to actually look at your code and give you feedback. Yeah, and like personalize your lessons.
So it's like a personalized tutor.
It is like a personalized tutor in your computer.
Amazing.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. And then for those who need a little bit more structure, they suggest online courses.
Right, like MOOCs.
Yeah, MOOCs.
These are massive open online courses.
Right.
And they usually give you a certificate when you're done.
A little something to show for it.
Yeah, so it's a nice supplement to YouTube.
Right. So you get the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
So what about those people who are like, I want to jump in, I want to change careers, I want to do this full time?
Right. Well, for them, they suggest looking into coding boot camps.
Those are a little more intense, right?
They are much more intensive.
Yeah.
And they're expensive.
But they're focused.
They are focused. They're fast-paced. You learn a lot.
And you come out ready to work?
Exactly. They often have career services built in.
Oh, nice.
So they help you find a job.
So it's like if you were going to culinary school to be a chef.
Yeah.
This is like coding boot camp to be a coder. I like that.
Yeah. And then, of course, you need to practice those problem-solving skills.
Yeah, for sure.
So for that, there are websites like LeetCode and HackerRank.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah. They have tons of coding challenges.
Oh, okay.
And these are the kinds of questions you might see in a job interview.
So it gets you ready.
It gets you ready for the real deal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're getting a picture here of the whole landscape.
Yeah. We're starting to see what's out there.
YouTube's a great place to start.
It's the first step.
But it's not the only step.
Not at all.
All right, so let's zoom back in on YouTube for a second.
Okay.
What are some ways that we can make the most of it? What are some tips that the article gives us?
Sure. So the first thing they emphasize is to be really choosy about what you watch.
Okay, quality over quantity.
Yeah, because there's a lot of junk out there.
Yeah.
So they recommend making a list of channels that you trust.
Like what kind of channels are we talking about?
So like Free Code Camp,
Okay.
Traversy Media, The Coding Train, these are all channels that are known for their quality content.
So it's like having a trusted guide in a giant library.
It is. It's like having a curator who's picked out the best stuff for you.
Perfect.
And they also stress the importance of having a plan.
Oh, so don't just wander aimlessly.
Right, don't just click on whatever looks interesting.
Have a syllabus.
Have a syllabus, decide what you want to learn.
What languages you want to focus on.
Yeah, and look for videos that build on each other.
So it's like making your own little self-directed course.
Exactly. Treat YouTube like your own personal classroom.
Nice. And then, of course, there are those moments when you're going to get stuck.
Oh yeah, everyone gets stuck.
And there's no one to ask on YouTube.
Right. It can
Yeah.
feel isolating.
So what does the article say about that?
Well, they recommend engaging with the community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, leave comments, ask questions, connect with other learners.
So it's like making your own virtual study group.
Exactly. You can learn from each other.
Exactly. You can learn from each other.
I like that. Yeah, and you might find that other people have had the same problems, and they figured out solutions.
And you can share tips.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, and even though YouTube doesn't give you a certificate or anything,
Right.
they recommend building a portfolio of projects as you go.
Oh, that's a good idea to show off what you can do.
Yeah, it's a way to demonstrate your skills to potential employers.
Like what kind of projects are we talking about here?
It could be anything, really.
Okay.
You know, simple web pages, interactive games, data visualization tools.
So if you're interested in web development, you might build a website
Exactly.
to showcase your skills.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And if you're into data science, you could do a project that analyzes a data set
Mm-hmm.
and presents the findings in a cool visual way.
So it's like you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs of your coding journey.
It is. It's like a record of your progress and your creativity.
I love that.
Yeah. And speaking of progress, the article talks about something really interesting.
Okay, what's that?
The role of AI in coding education.
Oh, yeah, we touched on that a little bit with Algo Academy.
Right, but it's worth diving a little deeper.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so imagine a platform that can actually analyze your coding style
Okay.
and figure out your weaknesses,
Oh, wow.
and then give you tailored challenges to help you improve.
So like a personal coding coach.
Exactly like having a coach in your computer.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
That is really cool.
Yeah, and AI can also help with debugging.
Oh, tell me more.
So imagine an AI assistant that can point out your syntax errors,
Mm-hmm.
but not just that it can explain why they're errors
Oh.
and suggest solutions in plain English.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like having a really patient tutor.
Who can break things down for you?
Exactly.
That would have been helpful when I was learning to code.
It would have been helpful for all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And AI-powered tools can also help you write better code,
Okay.
like more efficient code, more elegant code.
Oh, wow.
They can suggest alternative approaches, optimize algorithms, even identify security vulnerabilities.
That's incredible.
It is. It's like having a coding mentor who's constantly pushing you to be better.
So the question is, can AI replace human instructors?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Is this the end of teachers?
What does the article say?
Well, they seem to think the human instructors still have a really important role.
Okay, so it's not a replacement, it's a complement.
Exactly. It's about using AI to enhance the learning experience.
Okay, so what are some of the things that humans can do that AI can't?
Well, humans can provide that personalized feedback.
Mm-hmm.
They can give you real-world context,
That's important.
and they can inspire you in a way that AI just can't.
Right. Like, it's one thing to read a textbook,
Right.
but it's another thing to have a passionate professor
Absolutely.
who brings that subject matter to life.
Yeah, and don't forget about mentorship.
Hmm.
That human connection is so important, especially in a field like coding.
Yeah, so it's not about AI versus humans.
Right.
It's about AI and humans working together.
Exactly.
It's like a dynamic duo
It is.
with AI providing the technical support.
And humans providing the guidance and inspiration.
I like that.
Yeah.
But even with the best tools and the best instructors,
Yeah.
there's one thing that you can't replace,
Oh, what's that?
and that is practical experience.
Oh, yeah. You got to get your hands dirty.
You got to code.
You got to code.
The article talks about this a lot.
They do. They say you can watch all the videos you want.
Read all the books.
Read all the books. But until you actually start building,
Not going to learn.
you're not going to really learn.
You're not going to internalize it.
It's like learning to play an instrument.
Okay.
You can watch videos of amazing musicians,
Mm-hmm.
but until you pick up that instrument and start playing,
You're not going to learn.
you're not going to learn.
Yeah, so practical experience is where you really solidify that knowledge.
Right. You start to understand how things work.
You start to get creative.
You get creative. You develop your problem-solving skills.
You learn from your mistakes.
You learn from your mistakes.
And you start to build that portfolio.
Right, that portfolio that we talked about earlier.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that we can get that practical experience?
Well, one fantastic way is to contribute to open source projects.
Oh, open source projects. Tell me more.
Yeah, so these are projects where the code is publicly available
Okay.
and anyone can contribute.
So anyone can just jump in and start coding.
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort.
Wow.
Developers from all over the world
That's amazing.
working together to build something cool.
But you'd have to be like a really experienced coder to do that, right?
Not at all.
Oh, really?
Nope. A lot of open source projects have tasks that are specifically designed for beginners.
How cool.
Yeah. So it's a great way to get started.
To learn by doing.
Learn by doing and make a real contribution.
So it's like a coding apprenticeship.
It is.
You're learning from the masters and
Yeah.
contributing to something real.
And it looks great on your resume.
Well, that's a bonus.
Yeah, and it helps you build connections.
Networking is important.
It's very important.
Yeah, so it's like a coding boot camp, but you're learning in the real world.
Exactly. And you're making a real impact.
How do you find these open source projects?
Well, there are platforms like GitHub and GitLab.
Okay.
And you can browse projects by language, topic, skill level.
So you can find something that you're interested in.
Yeah, you might find a project that's developing a new web framework
Oh, cool.
or a mobile app or even a game.
And these projects, they welcome new people.
They do. A lot of them have really detailed contribution guidelines.
So they want to help you learn.
They do. They want to help you learn and grow.
That's awesome.
It's a great community.
So we've got YouTube, we've got interactive platforms, online courses, boot camps, open source projects.
Wow, that's a lot.
There's so much out there.
There is a lot.
It seems like there's a path for everyone.
There is. There really is.
But, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room,
Oh, yeah. What's that?
the technical interview.
Oh, the dreaded technical interview.
Oh, everybody's afraid of it.
Everyone is terrified of it.
But it's a necessary evil,
It's the gateway to a lot of coding jobs.
and it's worth it.
It is worth it.
So how do we conquer this beast?
All right, so YouTube can help you learn the basics,
Okay.
but to really ace those interviews, you're going to need more.
Okay, so what's the secret sauce?
The secret sauce is data structures and algorithms.
Oh, yeah, those.
Yeah, you got to know your stuff.
And that's where those practice platforms come in handy.
Exactly.
Lead Code HackerRank.
Yes, they'll drill you on all the important concepts.
So it's not just about knowing how to code, it's about knowing how to solve problems.
Right, you have to be able to think critically and apply your knowledge.
And efficiently.
Yes, efficiency is key.
Remember big O notation.
Oh yeah, big O.
It's all about how your code scales
Right. You want your code to be able to handle large amounts of data.
without breaking a sweat.
Exactly.
It's like comparing the fuel efficiency of different cars.
I like that analogy.
You want the one that's going to get you the furthest on the least amount of gas.
Yeah, you want your code to be a fuel-efficient machine.
So data structures and algorithms are important.
Very important.
But there's something else that a lot of companies are looking for now.
Oh yeah, and that is system design.
System design. What's that all about?
So system design is about architecting complex software systems.
Okay.
It's about understanding how different components interact, how to handle large volumes of data,
Okay.
and how to make sure the system is scalable and reliable.
So it's like designing a city.
It is like designing a city with all its interconnected systems.
The transportation, the power grid, the communication network.
Exactly. It's all about thinking big picture.
So for those prepping for technical interviews, it's data structures and algorithm,
Yes.
system design,
Yes.
and practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice.
Leak Code, HackerRank, all that good stuff.
Exactly.
But don't forget about the non-technical stuff, too.
Oh, yeah, that's important too.
Like your communication skills,
Your problem-solving approach,
how you work with others.
your cultural fit with the company.
All those things are important.
They're all very important.
So you want to be well-rounded,
Well-rounded,
a skilled coder
but also a good communicator.
who can work effectively on a team,
Exactly.
and who's a good fit for the company culture,
Right. You want to find a company where you can thrive.
where you can grow and learn and be happy.
Absolutely.
It's a two-way street.
It is.
You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
Right. You want to make sure it's a good fit for both sides.
Yeah, and if you don't land your dream job right away,
Yeah.
don't get discouraged.
Don't give up.
The coding journey is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
Keep learning.
Keep practicing
Keep building.
and keep believing in yourself.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
But before we send our listeners off on their coding adventures,
Yeah.
there's one more interesting point from the article that I want to talk about.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What is it?
It's about AI in coding education.
Oh, yeah. AI is changing everything.
It really is.
It's amazing to see how it's being used to personalize the learning experience.
Like with Algo Academy?
Yeah, platforms like that are using AI to provide tailored feedback, adaptive challenges, even natural language processing.
It's like having a virtual coding tutor
It is. It's like having a tutor right there in your computer
who can answer your
and
questions.
guide you through the tough parts.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and AI is constantly evolving,
Getting smarter all the time.
getting smarter all the time. It's
Yes.
exciting to think about what the future holds.
So the big question is,
Yeah.
can AI actually replace human instructors?
That's the million-dollar question.
Is the end of teachers?
I don't think so.
You don't.
I think human instructors still have a vital role to play.
So it's not a replacement, it's a complement.
Exactly.
AI can do some things really well,
Like what?
like providing feedback on basic syntax errors,
Okay.
suggesting code snippets. But human instructors, they bring something different.
Yeah, they bring experience, intuition, the ability to inspire and motivate.
And that human connection.
Yeah, that's so important.
Especially when you're learning something as challenging as coding.
It can be really tough.
Yeah.
And having a supportive instructor can make all the difference.
It's like having a Sherpa guide you through the Himalayas.
I love that analogy.
They've been there before, they know the shortcuts, they can help you avoid the dangerous pitfalls.
That's a great way to put it.
So AI is a powerful tool,
It is.
but human instructors are still essential. It's a
Absolutely.
beautiful partnership.
It is.
AI and humans working together to create a truly amazing learning experience.
And that's what's so exciting about the future of coding education.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
They are.
But let's bring it back to the present moment for a second.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have
YouTube, AI, practical experience.
technical interviews.
It's been a whirlwind tour of the coding world.
Yeah.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Don't be afraid to jump in and start coding.
Just do it.
Just do it.
The world of coding is full of possibilities.
And the only limit is your imagination.
So find a language that you're interested in.
Yeah.
Choose a learning path that works for you.
And start building.
And remember,
Yeah.
the coding community is incredibly supportive.
It is.
Don't be afraid to reach out.
Ask questions.
Learn from others.
We're all in this together.
And who knows?
Yeah.
You might just discover your passion and build something amazing and change the world with your code.
That's a great goal.
It is.
Change the world with your code.
But before we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
there's one more thought-provoking question from the article that I want to leave our listeners with.
Oh, I love a good brain teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? The article mentions that knowing multiple programming languages could actually be a disadvantage in coding education.
That's interesting. Why would knowing more languages be a disadvantage?
That's the puzzle I want our listeners to talk about.
Okay. I like it.
What are the pros and cons of specializing in one language versus being a generalist in the coding world?
It's like choosing between being a master chef who specializes in one cuisine
Right.
or a culinary explorer who's comfortable with a variety of flavors and techniques.
It's all about finding the approach that works best for you.
Exactly.
So we want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Head over to our social media and share your insights.
What are your favorite coding resources?
Have you had any success with YouTube?
Let's keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
The coding journey is an ongoing adventure.
So stay curious, keep learning, and never stop coding.
Great advice.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're starting to get a sense of all the different ways you can learn to code.
Yeah. It's not just YouTube anymore.
Not at all, but YouTube is still a great resource,
It is.
especially when you're first starting out.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit more about how to make the most of it.
Okay.
The article has some interesting tips.
They do.
One thing they emphasize is being selective about the channels you watch.
Right. Don't just watch anything.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, because there's a lot of noise out there.
Like, what are some of the channels that they recommend?
So they mentioned Free Code Camp,
Okay.
Traversy Media, The Coding Train.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
These are all channels that are known for their high-quality content.
It's like having a trusted guide in a giant library.
Exactly. They've done the curation for you.
So you don't have to wade through all the junk.
Right.
They also talk about the importance of having a learning plan.
Oh, yeah, you need a roadmap.
Don't just wander aimlessly.
Right. Don't just jump from video to video.
A syllabus.
Yeah. Decide what you want to learn.
What languages you want to focus on.
Exactly. And look for videos that build on each other.
So it's like you're creating your own little self-directed course.
It is. You're the curriculum designer.
I like that.
Yeah.
But of course, there are those moments when you're going to get stuck.
Oh, yeah. Everyone gets stuck.
Yeah. And you're coding alone in your basement.
Right.
And you have no one to ask.
It can be frustrating.
So what does the article suggest?
Well, they encourage people to engage with the YouTube community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Leave comments, ask questions, connect with other learners.
It's like forming a virtual study group.
Exactly. You can help each other out.
Yeah, bounce ideas off each other.
Right. And you might find that someone else has already solved the problem you're facing.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And even though YouTube doesn't give you like a formal certificate or anything,
Right.
they recommend building a portfolio of projects as you learn.
Oh, yeah, that's a great way to showcase your skills.
It is. It's tangible proof of what you can do.
Like, what kind of projects are we talking about here?
Well, it could be anything, really.
Okay.
Simple web pages, interactive games, data visualization tools.
So if you're interested in web development, you might build a website.
Right, to show off your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript skills.
And if you're into data science,
You could create a project that analyzes a data set and presents the findings in a visually appealing way.
so it's like you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs of your coding journey.
I like that analogy. It's a record of your progress and your creativity.
And speaking of progress,
Yeah.
the article mentions something really fascinating.
Oh, what's that?
The growing role of AI in coding education.
Oh, yeah. AI is changing everything.
It is. It's like this unstoppable force.
And it's starting to revolutionize how we learn to code.
Tell me more.
Well, imagine a platform that can analyze your coding style,
Okay.
identify your weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
and then give you personalized challenges to help you improve.
So it's like having a personal coding coach
Exactly.
right there in your computer.
Right there in your computer.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And AI can also help with debugging.
Oh, tell me more.
So imagine an AI assistant that can not only point out syntax errors,
Mhm.
but it can also explain why they're errors
Oh, wow.
and suggest solutions in plain English.
That would have been so helpful when I was first learning to code.
It would have been helpful for all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And AI-powered tools can also help you write better code,
Okay. Like more efficient code.
more efficient code, more elegant code.
Oh, wow.
They can suggest alternative approaches, optimize algorithms, even identify potential security vulnerabilities.
It's like having a coding mentor who's constantly pushing you to improve.
Exactly.
So the big question is, can AI replace human instructors?
Yeah. Is this the end of teachers?
What does the article think?
Well, they seem to believe that human instructors still have a very important role to play.
So it's not a replacement, it's a complement.
Exactly.
AI can handle some of the more technical aspects.
Like providing feedback on basic syntax,
Okay.
suggesting code snippets.
Mm-hmm.
But human instructors bring something else to the table.
What's that?
Experience intuition, the ability to inspire and motivate students.
They can provide that human connection,
Oh, wow.
that mentorship that can be so crucial.
Especially in a field like coding.
Yeah, it can be a tough journey.
It can be.
And having a supportive instructor can make all the difference.
It's like having a Sherpa guide you through the Himalayas.
I love that analogy.
They've been there before. They know the shortcuts. They can help you avoid the dangerous pitfalls.
So AI is a powerful tool,
It is.
but human instructors are still irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful partnership.
It is.
AI and humans working together to create a truly enriching learning environment.
And that's what's so exciting about the future of coding education.
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Oh.
We've been talking a lot about all these different tools and resources.
Yeah.
YouTube, AI, online courses, boot camps.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah,
the most important thing is to get your hands dirty and start coding.
just do it.
Just do it.
That's the Nike slogan.
It is.
But it applies to coding too.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Make mistakes.
Learn from your mistakes.
That's how you grow.
So find a language that you're interested in.
Yeah.
Choose a learning path that resonates with you.
And start building.
And remember, the coding community is there to support you.
It is a very welcoming community.
Don't be afraid to reach out.
Ask questions.
Share your struggles.
We've all been there.
We're all in this together.
We are.
And who knows, you might just build the next big thing.
You might change the world with your code.
That's an inspiring thought.
It is.
But before we get too carried away,
Yeah.
there's one more thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
It's something the article mentioned.
I'm listening.
They said that knowing multiple programming languages could actually be a disadvantage.
Oh, that's interesting.
When you're first learning to code,
Why would that be?
that's what I want our listeners to think about.
Okay, give me a minute to ponder.
What are the pros and cons of specializing in one language versus being a generalist?
It's like choosing a career path.
Right?
You want to be a specialist or a generalist? It's a tough decision.
It is, and there's no right or wrong answer.
It depends on your personality,
Yeah.
your goals, your learning style.
So we want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, head over to our social media and let us know what you think.
What are your favorite coding resources?
Have you had any success with YouTube?
Let's keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
A coding journey is an ongoing adventure.
It is.
So stay curious, keep learning, and never stop coding.
Those are words to live by.
So we were talking about how knowing a bunch of different programming languages could actually be a bad thing.
Yeah, kind of weird, right? You'd think more is always better.
Right, more skills, more options.
But the article suggests that if you try to learn too many languages at once, you might not really master any of them.
Okay, so it's like spreading yourself too thin.
Exactly. It's like trying to learn 5 musical instruments at the same time.
You might be able to make some noise.
But you won't be playing any beautiful symphonies.
So how does this play out in the coding world? Like, what are some signs that someone might be falling into this trap?
Well, one sign is constantly jumping from one language to the next without building anything substantial.
So it's like they're always chasing the shiny new thing.
Right. They get excited about a new language, they learn the basics, and then they move on to the next one.
Without really digging deep.
Exactly. They're missing out on the real learning that happens when you wrestle with complex problems in a specific language.
So it's not just about learning the syntax of a language.
Right. It's about understanding its ecosystem, its libraries, its quirks.
It's like getting to know its personality.
Exactly. Each language has its own unique way of doing things.
Its own strengths and weaknesses.
Right. And a good coder knows when to use which language for the job.
So it's like having a toolbox full of different tools.
Yeah. And, which tool to use for each specific task.
This all makes sense from a learning perspective.
Yeah.
But what about when you're applying for jobs?
Oh, yes. The job hunt.
Do companies prefer specialists or generalists?
That's a great question. And it really depends on the company and the specific role.
Okay.
Some companies, especially larger ones, might value deep expertise in a specific language.
So if a company is heavily invested in, say, Python...
They're going to want someone who can hit the ground running with Python.
Right. They don't want to have to train someone from scratch.
Exactly. They need someone who can contribute immediately.
But other companies, especially startups, might prefer a more generalist approach.
Right. Especially if they're working with a variety of technologies.
They need someone who can adapt and learn new things quickly.
Exactly. Someone who's not afraid to jump into a new language or framework.
So it's important to do your research.
Absolutely.
Before you apply for a job.
Look at the company's website, their current projects, their technology stack.
Get a feel for their culture.
Exactly. That'll give you some clues about what they're looking for.
So for someone just starting out, what would you recommend?
I'd say start with one language and really focus on mastering it.
Okay, like pick one and go all in.
Yeah, build a solid foundation in that language.
It's like learning to speak one language fluently before you start dabbling in others.
Exactly. Once you have a strong grasp of the fundamentals in one language.
It becomes easier to learn others.
Much easier.
So choose a language that interests you.
Yeah, whether it's Python, JavaScript, C++, whatever.
And really explore its depth.
Build projects, experiment, have fun with it.
And then once you feel confident, you can start branching out.
Exactly, and see how different languages approach similar problems.
It's like becoming a polyglot of the coding world.
Exactly.
This has been such a fascinating conversation.
It has.
We've learned so much about the world of coding education.
From YouTube to AI to the importance of practical experience.
We even tackled the dreaded technical interview.
We did it all.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Don't be afraid to jump in and start coding.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. The world of coding is full of amazing opportunities.
And the only limit is your own imagination.
So find your passion, choose your language, and start building.
And remember, the coding community is here to support you.
Absolutely. We're all in this together.
So keep learning, keep coding, and keep sharing your passion with the world.
That's what it's all about.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, happy coding, everyone.